Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to my top 5 bargains of 2019. So, I absolutely love bargains, and I'm sure you know that. I've been itching to make this video for absolutely ages. In fact, I decided I would make this video all the way back in the spring, I think it was. But I thought, you know, let's be sensible and wait till November or December, just in case something amazing comes along, and I don't want to be kicking myself for having missed it out. Of course, that could still happen. There might be something amazing that comes out over the next month, in which case, sorry, I'll be kicking myself as well, but you'll be the first to know. I will sort of let you know if anything amazing comes. However, yes, top 5 bargains. It's been very, very difficult because there have been loads of bargains this year, but I've managed to pick 5 of my absolute favourites to show to you today. What I'm going to do is try to bring you mini reviews for each one of them, which I think will be really cool. And as always, if you want to pick any of this stuff up, I will include links in the description. But let's get started then with the first bargain. So the first bargain I came up with was this. It is the Hornby Terrier. And normally it takes, what do you reckon, about a year for a loco to become cheap after they've been released. However, this one had a really good price to begin with. So the RRP is $89.99, which is actually quite good, isn't it, for a loco of this size. Normally you'd expect to pay about $100. However, that's the RRP. The retailers, Hattons for example, have these for sale for £81, I think it is. Now, I think that makes the Hornby Terrier the cheapest way to get the beautiful SECR green livery or the LBSCR livery onto your layout. I don't think there is a cheaper way for you to do that. So that is really, really fantastic. Now, these locos are pretty good. I quite like mine. However, there are some pros and cons which you should know, so I'm going to do a mini review of this. So obviously the price is a major pro for this. It's a very, very good price for an 060 of this size. I think you sort of get that already. Also, the selection of liveries is a massive pro. As I've already said, you've got so many different ones to choose from and all of them look pretty good. So if you model Steam, chances are there's going to be a Hornby Terrier that will suit your needs, so that's really, really good. Next of all, the level of detail is really, really good, especially for the price. There are lots of separately fitted parts. The cabs are really, really good, as you can see, and overall the thing looks really, really excellent. Finally, the other major pro for this was the performance. Now, this has only got a 3-pole motor. The mechanism's nothing really to shout about. However, it runs really, really nicely. Mine can pull a reasonable amount, and it looks great on the track. You know, it just works. It does what it's supposed to. So, in terms of performance, they're really, really good. However, there are 1 or 2 cons. Now, the main one is quality, if I'm going to be honest with you. So this was a cheap model, okay? We knew that right from the start. And mine did have a few quality issues, let's be honest. So there were glue marks on some of the pipework, which are noticeable in some lights, so bear that in mind. And also the pickups on mine were a bit badly bent when I first got them out of the box, which suggests they hadn't been assembled properly. So do bear that in mind if you're thinking of buying a terrier. However, overall, I can recommend them. For the price, they're really, really good. However, if you want a little bit more detail, it sounds as though the Dapple Terrier might be the way to go. But if you're solely interested in bargains, I think this Hornby Terrier is a really good way to go. So the next bargain is one from Bachmann, and this is one that I really, really enjoyed. So it is this, the Wickham Trolley. As you can see, a tiny, tiny little loco, or train, as I could call it. This is, believe it or not, a complete train. So the RRP for these is reasonably high, £89.95, so it's quite expensive really when you think about the size of the thing. However, Rails of Sheffield this time seem to have the best price for these, £45. What was the exact price? It was £44.50, so that is a crazy bargain. We're talking half price, less than half price really for this. Now, there's quite a lot of pros with this one. First of all, obviously, it's super unusual. You're never going to get anything quite like this on your layout. Well, besides this, of course. Its sheer tininess makes it very, very unique indeed. And of course, it just looks cool, doesn't it? Especially when it's running around, as you can see. It's also a complete train, as I say. You can literally just buy the Wickham trolley and run the trolley itself and the little wagon that comes with it as a complete train, and you need nothing else. So it's really a bargain in that sense as well, because you don't have to buy any extra rolling stock to go with this, so that's really, really good. As you can also tell, the size hasn't really meant that Bachmann have compromised on the level of detail. It is a tiny little thing, but the level of detail is pretty excellent, and that goes with the painted details as well. It really does look fantastic. There's tiny little cap details on the inside as well. I don't know if you can see those. And also the quality is top notch. You might expect that such a fiddly little thing might drop to pieces in your hands or something like that. It really doesn't. It's solid. I mean, I'm holding it like this and I'm not worried about bits of it dropping off. The paintwork is quality as well. It's got tiny, tiny wasp stripes on it, but it just looks fine. There's no messiness at all with it. So it's a really, really good model. I really do like this one. There are not so many cons with this one. Obviously, because the RRP is quite high, you would expect this to be better. It's not as though it had a low price to begin with. However, there are one or two. First of all, it is very, very small, of course. You don't get a lot of loco for your money, so if you want to fill your layout with sort of bigger engines or whatever, this is probably not one for you. However, as I say, I think all things considered, it is still a good price for this. The next con is that they are great performers, as you can see. However, they do use traction tyres, which I know some people are put off by, and also they're not that reliable on point work and such, which might as well annoy some people. The next major con with this is that DCC fitting is a real chore with this. It doesn't have a DCC socket inside, so it's not as simple as just plugging in a decoder. And as you can tell, there isn't an awful lot of space to fit a decoder into this. Now, it can be done. There are people that have done it. They've managed to sort of cram tiny little sound decoders into the roof of the thing. But it's a very fiddly job, and I personally wouldn't fancy doing it. It's probably not a deal breaker. If you really wanted to run this on DCC, you could do, but I probably wouldn't recommend it, but consider it if you're thinking about buying one. So there you have it, the Bachmann Wickham trolley. I can highly recommend it for the right price. Obviously don't pay £89 for this, it's not a bargain at that price. But for the likes of 45 quid, you really can't go wrong, and I wish I'd paid 45 for mine, I can tell you that. So the next loco is one from Hornby, and this one is astonishing value for money, an incredible bargain. The RRP of this one is pretty high, but just wait till you hear the price that you can get this thing for. So the loco is this, it's the Drummond 700 class. As you can see, mine's in the Southern Black livery, but the one in question is a BR Black one, I believe. So yes, as I say, £124.99 is the RRP for this, which is a modestly reasonable price, I would say, because it's a really well detailed loco. But Hattons are selling a version of this for £59. Now that is just crazy, isn't it? That is less than half price. So this loco is incredible for £59, as I'm sure you can imagine. It has all the features of a £125 model, but obviously for a fraction of the price. So the major pros then are the heavy die-cast body. Now most of the boiler, well the boiler in fact, yeah the boiler, I think the smoke box as well, but not the cab, is made of metal, so that gives this thing an awful lot of weight. It feels great in the hands, it feels quality, and of course it can pull a great long consist as well, which is exactly what you want. They have a superb level of detail. There are so many separately fitted parts on this. The safety valves are metal, the cab is fantastic, there's so much pipe work, there's even the valve gear between the frames. For £124.99, to be honest, I would be happy with this, but for £59 it's just astonishing. It also has a beautiful mechanism. For this price we're talking Hornby Railroad pricing here. However, it's got tender pickups, it's got full bearings, inside the chassis. It really is a top-notch mechanism. I absolutely love it. There are one or two cons, not very many, once again, because it was a very expensive loco at the full price. It only has a 3-pole motor, which, to be honest, doesn't make a massive difference, but you do sort of notice at the slower speeds. It's a shame it didn't have a 5-pole motor for 125 quid, but for 59, of course, that's absolutely fine. It's also very, very fragile. A lot of the pipe work is made of plastic, and it's unsupported in most places, so you have to be really careful not to touch any of that with your fingers. However, if you're careful, it is absolutely astonishing for the money. I can highly, highly recommend this one. And I do have links in the description for these, by the way, if you're interested. Next up then is a piece of rolling stock, and I'm going to go out there and say that this is my favourite of the bunch. So it is this, the Oxford Rail Bosch Buster railgun. Now, what an incredible model this was. Once again, it's unusual to see this in a bargain video because it's only come out this year, and so you'd expect the price to be pretty high. But the truth is the price was excellent from the very start. You can pick these up for about £50, although you might have to shop around a bit because, yeah, they're very popular and they do tend to disappear quite quick. But yeah, for the size of it, I mean, just look at this. Look how big it is. It's difficult to get it in shot, to be honest with you. For about 50 quid, this is just astonishing. So there are loads and loads of pros with this one. I mean, if you want to find out more, I will link you to my review up there because there's just so much to say. But in a nutshell, first of all, there's an awful lot of detail for the money. So obviously value is absolutely excellent. It's also great quality. It's very, very sturdily built despite the price. And with a bit of care, obviously, it's not going to fall apart on you. You have to be careful with it, of course, because there are a lot of separately fitted details on it. But as long as you are careful, there's no reason to expect that this won't last a very, very long time. It also performs excellently. I wasn't expecting this, but even on really tight track, on tight radius point work, it does not derail. Nothing I could do would cause this to derail. In fact, it never has derailed, even when I was messing around with it. Really, really reliable on the track. I never would have expected it, but it is that good on the track. So yes, reliability, as you can see, is absolutely excellent. Another pro is that you can get this in a train pack for equally excellent value with this, the Oxford Rail Dean Goods locomotive in the khaki livery, for about 150 quid. I think Hattons have this. How much do they have it for? It's about £100 more. It's about £153, I think it is, which is fantastic value because the Dean Goods locos are excellent as well. So yeah, there's quite a bit of flexibility there if you wanted to get a loco with it as well. So not very many cons with this one, as you can imagine. In fact, I absolutely love it, but there are one or two potential issues you might have with this. First of all, it's obviously very specialized. You're not going to be able to run this, for example, on a modern image layout or, I don't know, an LNER layout or anything like that. It's really only going to be any good for specific World War I layouts, which I suppose might be quite prohibiting for some people, so do consider that. And obviously its sheer size makes it a little bit cumbersome on the layouts. It's not dead easy, for example, just to shove this in a siding, and I suppose this relates to the first con really. It just won't look right, will it, in a sort of city situation? So you have to think very carefully about whether this is going to fit into your layout, especially if it's not a huge one, because it takes up a lot of space. Besides that though, they're relatively insubstantial cons, aren't they? I think overall this is, ooh, look, could play with this for absolutely hours. It is an astonishing model. I absolutely love it, and as I say, I think it's my favourite. However, that brings us on then to the final bargain of 2019. Well, it's not the final one, there obviously are absolutely loads this year, but my favourite, my very top bargain of the year. I'm sure you can imagine exactly which it is, but I will show it to you now. It's this. It is the Oxford Rail N7. Now, what an amazing model this is. In my opinion, this is the best model that can be bought for less than £100, or possibly one of the best models, full stop really. And to be honest, you can even get this for considerably less than 100 quid if you shop around. In fact, do some shopping around and let me know in the comments the cheapest you can find this thing for. I think it's about 87 quid, something like that. So really, really not that expensive for a loco of this size, especially when you think, that's only a bit more than the Terrier, which is considerably smaller. So where do we start with the pros then? Honestly, where do we start? Well, first of all, it weighs an absolute ton. Most of it is die-cast. The tanks, the boiler, it's mostly made of metal, to be honest with you, which gives it, once again, a great feel in the hand. It just feels like a quality model. And of course, once again, it gives it an immense amount of pulling power on the track. As you can see here, there's very few loads that it cannot manage. It's absolutely incredible. The detail is absolutely beautiful as well. You've got the intricate livery, loads of separately fitted parts. The cab is pretty impressive as well. It looks absolutely fantastic. Now, another great thing is the livery. It's such an unusual livery, this is. I absolutely love this sort of really strange grey. However, if you're not into that, if that's a bit too unusual for you, Oxford have done a BR Black and LNER Black version of this as well, which is obviously a lot more standard and it will fit into a lot more layout. So you're not really limited just by the odd livery on this, although if, like me, you just like it for the novelty and the pre-grouping unusualness that it brings, then that's absolutely fine as well, and indeed that's the version I went with. It's also the best Oxford runner I've ever had. I've never had an Oxford Rail loco that runs better than this. This is the best I've ever seen. It's got a great motor inside it. As I say, loads and loads of power, and the slow speed is absolutely astonishing. Let's give that a try. So, here we have a medium-sized tank engine crawling along incredibly slowly with 8 coaches coupled to the back of her and 17 wagons coupled to the back of her as well. And look, she's not breaking a sweat. In fact, she can accelerate as well, quite heavily. I will just let all this go past so you can get a sense of how much this thing can pull. I have got Pacifics, which cannot manage even close to this. There we are, there go the coaches, and yes, wagons as well. Yeah, the strength of this loco is incredible. It really is. And here she is going up Gordon's Hill. To be honest with you, I can't even see any wheel slipping. Now, I've reviewed this. I did a very exhaustive review of this loco, but even still, a year later, I'm absolutely astonished by the strength of the thing. Look at that. Unbelievable. Truly incredible. So obviously the performance is incredible, and of course this is the only loco that I genuinely can't think of any cons for. There's no valve gear between the frames. Honestly, that's the best I can do. Absolutely love this bargain, probably the best ever in my opinion. So there we go, those are my top bargains of 2019. They're just mine obviously, so if you had amazing bargains, do let me know down in the comments, and I'll probably kick myself because I've missed some key ones. But as far as I can remember, those are the best ones I picked up this year. So keep your eyes peeled, let's see if we can beat any of these in the last month or so left of the year, and let's see what the future brings, shall we? I will also do a top 5 locos of the year, possibly. I'm thinking of doing that. Let me know if that's something you'd like to see in the poll. But for now, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the bargains. Links in the description if you want to pick any of these up, and I will see you very soon. All right, cheers folks, take care.